Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant, but how that our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat, did drink all the same spiritual drink, for they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them. That rock was Christ. Verse 5, but with many of them God was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. We all know this story. We've read this story since we were like knee-high to a grasshopper kind of thing. We understand what happened in the wilderness, and this set of scriptures is reminding us for our own example what scriptures are for, so we don't repeat the same mistakes as our parents or grandparents all the way back to the Israelites in Egypt. But with many of them God was not pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Now these things were our examples, to the intent we should not lust after evil things as they also lusted. Here we go on a Sunday morning. Buckle up, break out the popcorn. Neither be idolatry. So right off the bat, our first information this morning is don't be lustful. I'm not saying that's strictly sexual either. It's anything we are driven towards. Neither be idolaters, as they were some of them, as it was written, the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Neither let us commit fornication, as some of them committed and fell in one day 23,000. And we all understand that first definition, I said first definition, fornication, is sexual immorality. See, I told you need to buckle up this morning. But what if I told you, if you drilled down a little bit farther in that terminology of fornication, if it had another meaning? My kids say that I get this smile on my face right before I dive into something. It's kind of like this pre-warning. What if, now granted, fornication is sexual immorality, but what if you eliminated that adjective? What if it was just acting in immorality? What would that do to broaden your example or broaden your perspective of how we should not act? Now, New American Standard uses the word act immorally. This broadens it out a little bit. So if we talked about what would be considered immoral, if fornication is acting any way that is immoral, acting in immorality, I have a list of some things I would throw into that bucket. Lying. Is that considered an immoral way of thinking? It should be. Cheating on your spouse, cheating on your taxes. Acting dishonestly, would that be immoral? Being selfish, having addictions, not giving a mercy, because if we're looking at what is considered moral, over the last few months we've been talking about what God considers as our proper way of acting. How we should be morally thinking, how we should serve others, love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and temperance. Anything that does not fall within that category could be considered immoral. I told you it was going to be challenging. Not giving a mercy, not being faithful to God, not being faithful to others, not holding to a code of ethics or integrity could be considered acting immorally. These are things that a person who acts immorally could walk in. There's also a definition that fornication is considered idolatry. Now read that scripture a little differently. Acting in a manner contrary to God's character, plans, or will, making your ways greater than God's, becomes idolatry, and it becomes acting immoral.